period when Mark was in the cabaret, that City of Cotati realized, you know, there's money to be made from this.
Yeah.
Mark brought reggae into Cotati, and it was a great time. He had one of my favorite bands, Strictly Roots, playing at the cabaret one night. And apparently they were getting stoned in the dressing room. So the police came in, trooped them all down to the police station, wrote them all $50 tickets, and then sent them back to play.
I wasn't there then
And what we noticed after that, every time there was a reggae show, they'd be out in front writing tickets, making $50 a pop. But not once did they try and shut the shows down.
Oh, we had a friend who grew up in Petaluma, and he was young during those days, and he would drive through with his aunt, and she'd roll the windows up downtown and say, "Don't look at nobody. Keep going."
I mean, if there's anybody that grew up in Cotati that's older than me, I'm sorry. It did change from a quiet, beautiful, little sleepy town. It was no longer sleepy.
Woke it up.
Well, we also took over the city council,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
so that's all some of it's on us.
Well, what about that in the Lombardies?
Yeah.
And, wasn't there a little, caper going on at Lombardi's?
Oh, it was marijuana
Annette,
pinching.
and,
Yeah,
little
yeah.
marijuana.
You're thinking of
City
Annette, you
council.
think Annette Lombardi was a council person,
Uh-huh.
and she and others conspired, I hate to use such a strong term,
Oh, yeah,
to release some contraband, a live marijuana plant, and plant it in the city hall. And then went home.
As the former mayor, I may get involved in this discussion, but
True or not?
that was evidence in the,
Yes.
in fact, that I can throw a rock to where that evidence place is right now. Not in this back one back here.
It was a prank.
And that was, by the way, the youngest city council in America.
right.
And they may have made Scott and I talked about this the other night, I believe they made the cover of Rolling Stone.
Well,
back
there
then.
was a long article about Cotati.
So,
Vicky Flaherty
anyway,
was passed out at the back of her station wagon with her arms wrapped around the marijuana plant.
Vicky was?
yeah, that's one way to put your community on the map. However, if you look at the Press Democrat today, they had a picture of about 100,000 marijuana plants hanging down. So it appears as though times it's changed a little bit.
Well, we've always been trendsetters here.
Yeah.
I remember
Or in the Lombardi.
when Quicksilver playing out in Sonoma State, it was like a concert they were putting behind the Commons back by the lake. And, what's the name of it? He was, the front man was, yeah, it was, Valenti was late. And you're waiting, finally there's a motorcycle you hear coming. And he takes his motorcycle and everybody, the whole crowd has it part ways, and he rides the motorcycle right up to the front, gets on the stage, gets a saddlebag up there, and handfuls of marijuana joints start smelling out. And it's you just imagine that happening in the college now. Without the question, obviously.
So I just want to check in with Ed and organizers. I know that a Q&A was discussed, and I'm curious how long you would like to do that and how hard our deadline is. So, do we?
We don't have a hard deadline.
Okay.
So just, if they continue telling stories, that'd be fabulous. And then if you want, we can open it up to people's memories out in the audience, and there's a.
That would be fabulous.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay,
I'd like
let's
to
do it.
take
Let's do
those.
that. We'll do Q&A, but then we'll kind of hop back and forth. Maybe a question prompts around the responses, and we'll have some fun. Does that sound good to everybody?
Yeah,
Okay.
I need to.
All right. You want to? What do you want?
I'm just gonna take a quick break.
Oh, okay. Well, what do we?
You know, we use that mic.
Well, what? I mean, it's all good. Do we? Yeah, I'll do it. I can walk around. Yeah, I'll do it. Does anybody have any questions that they would like to propose to our audience or to our panelists
Get a
here?
hand back there.
Hands back there. There we go.
Do the Phil Donahue thing here.
Where's that hand? All right, here we go.
Yeah, hi guys.
Thank you.
Anybody's got any specific memories of Boggio? I mean, Boggio was
Oh.
a controversial guy, he was loved, he was hated, he was all that stuff, and a bad chick. So, any memories that anybody wants to share about?
Did you ask about Bo Diddley?
Boggio?
Jim Boggio.
Oh, excuse me. Looking for memories of Jim Boggio.
You know, I used to go see Jim Boggio up at the Flamingo, and he would do piano bar stuff. And that was just sheer comedy. In addition to, you know, his wonderful theatrics on the keyboards and his abilities on the keyboards as well, but he was just, you know, and what he did with Blair on that one album, which one is that, Blair?
According to the blues.
According to the
or
blues, and there's the
Swamp Dogs.
and then there's, at the end, there's a laugh session, and that's enough to raise your day. If you're in the deepest, darkest depression, you just listen to that, and you're up and sailing.
Let me just say too, can we say who Jim Boggio was for people who don't know?
So Blair, would you like to step up? Blair was a great friend of Jim's.
Yeah.
Helped him stack through it all.
How many folks remember Jim, knew him personally? How many loved him more than most everybody in the world? Jim made everybody laugh. Wherever he went, he was the happy guy outside, and a marvelous musician. He played accordion, trumpet, and so forth. And you're talking about him playing piano bar up at the Flamingo. Well, it's true, he'd play by himself, beautiful songs, he'd sing, and occasionally he'd fall asleep while he was playing. And would come over, Jimmy! And he'd wake up, and he sounded as good asleep as he did when he was awake. I was in his band, the Swamp Dogs. I played bass. We were the first band at the Accordion Festival. Jim was the co-founder of the Cotati Accordion Festival. And he passed away in 1996. And I remember Sarah Baker called me and said, Jimmy's dead. It took me about 3 seconds before I knew what she was talking about. And so we had some benefits. We had a wake at the Trade Winds that I remember, and that was a very high night and full of love and sadness. And the next day, people started saying, Blair, great idea. I said, what? A statue in the park. That's a great idea. You should do that. I said, I don't know what you're talking about. Well, you were on a bar stool last night, so you were going to. Okay, so I started looking, how do you do that? So you have to hire an artist and a foundry, so I put a notice out to the different ideas for a statue in the park, and people would submit little clay maquettes. And one guy came up to me with a pencil drawing of Jim's face, and it was just Jim. I said, do you know how to make a statue, a bronze statue? He said, yeah, I can do that. I said, okay. And then in Sebastopol, we have the Bronze Plus Foundry, which is now in the Barlow. And it was a really great foundry. So I put them together, and they worked out a plan, and this was about 6 months before the Accordion Festival was coming up again. So the sculptor got to work, and he had it all set up, and people would drop in as he was working on it and say, yeah, that's looking more like him, more like him. I went over one day and I said, stop. That's him. And so he got the parts to the foundry, and they said, we'll have it done by Friday at 5, the day before the festival. I said, okay. Well, there's a lot that can go wrong. And we had to raise a lot of money. We raised $8,000 to pay the sculptor and $8,000 to pay the foundry, all done with benefits and sales of CDs and tapes and so forth. So we go over at 5 minutes to 5, the day before the festival, and they're just polishing his nose. He's ready. He's done. So then they put him in a pickup truck and brought him to the park and got a skip loader or something, a tractor, and lifted him up and built a little platform, lowered him down, covered him with a tarp. And then the festival started the next day, and it was announced we were going to unveil him at 2 o'clock in the afternoon or something. And so I went over there, and everybody gathered around, and we unveiled him, and everybody cheered, and his mom was there in a wheelchair, and she looked at me and said, that's my boy.
I love it. Beautiful.
So, yeah, now his picture's taken. It's the only life-size bronze statue accordion player in the world, and every year at the festival, thousands of pictures are taken of him and sent all over the world. And I still miss him. Wonderful guy.
I'd like to add something to that. As a producer of the festival, and what I've learned over the years, but what I knew about at the time, that the reason the festival has gone on for 30 years, even though Jim died in 1996, was the power of his personality. The fact that he played so many different genres, the fact that so many people respected him in the accordion world from coast to coast, is the reason that the accordion festival is still here and what it is today. It's didn't just have a big personality, but he had a personality that people were drawn to and wanted to come and do this experiment that he threw out there. He just told everybody, you won't regret it, I'm me, and all these accordion players. And most of them at that time, they all came, I've seen the records, most of them just came for $100 each. It was like, that doesn't fly anymore. But back then, it was just on the power of him bringing it all together.
I'd like to add that the first 3 years of the accordion festival were free. And, we got into some complications with that simply because we had to pay the musicians. And it was disrespectful for people not to be willing to do that. And they were livid, the individual fans were livid. A lot of you remember that, those days, 1990, 91, 92, 93. But 93, we actually printed out some commemorative buttons and said, oh yeah, if we actually sell these buttons, we'll be able to take care of everything. Well, no one bought any buttons, and that was the end of it. And so then we started, but again, to Jim's credit, he brought in all-star accordion players from all over the place because he commanded such great respect amongst all these individuals. And and then it kind of grew, and we were seeing really strong Zydeco and Cajun musicians coming in, Queen Ida, Clifton Chenier, and a whole bunch of other people. And then not only that, a lot of other really important people in the accordion world. And Jim was always was the star through each and every one of those. And I too, along with Blair, was extremely sad when this happened. But he taught me a lot about being able to be comfortable behind the microphone as well. So I picked that up right after he passed, and I try to mix humor as often as possible in those moments when something needs to be injected. So anyway.
Greg, I saw you were jotting something down. You got it. Are you planting it? Oh. I thought you were planting a question in the audience.
No.
All right. I got another question right here.
Back to the end, is this mic working?
Yes.
Back to the end, would you guys explain and tell us about Ward Maillard and what he's up to today and his significant role at the end?
Very significant, yeah. Okay, you correct me now, in 1970?
Yeah.
Sorry, who is this individual? He's
Okay, Ward Maillard was a man who enabled Greg's escape from Cotati.
Yeah, Lord.
And he purchased the Inn of the Beginning from Greg in mid-1970, probably June or July of 1970. I wasn't here. And operated it in a very idealistic way, had an Aquarian way, had an idea that there would be a group of people who would operate by consensus. I don't think it worked very well, but he had a vision. He operated the Inn of the Beginning for actually 4 years, is all it was. Continued, I think did a little bit of remodeling. I never saw the inn before I got there in fall of 1970. Greg was long gone by then, and Ward was there. And he just operated, I think, pretty much the same. Would you think?
Yeah, it stayed the same.
Pretty much the same format. And again, I I was the sound man, I moved into management, and in 1974, he was also following an Eastern religious Indian guru tract, and was very involved in that particular spiritual path. Was going to Santa Cruz almost probably 2 or 3 times a month to be with Babaji and start a new life for himself. In 1974, as I said before, as I introduced myself, I agreed to buy the inn instead of looking for a job. Because he wanted to sell the inn. And I knew that anybody who was going to buy that business was going to want to do what I was doing, not be a janitor. And for sure, not buy the inn because it was such a money maker, and just saying, okay, great, here's a great business, I'll just invest this and sit down and let the staff run it. At any rate, I enabled Ward to escape Cotati. Well, moved to Santa Cruz, where he and a group of people purchased, I think, almost 300 acres of land on the side near the top of Mount Madonna in Watsonville. Started a school of religious sciences and religious sessions. Started yoga classes and talks by Babaji. And has developed it into something that is just incredible to me. I mean,
Have you been there?
Yes.
Oh, I'd love to see that.
You can go there too. I mean, it's open to the public.
He's like the head of.
He's been the head and the president of the board of foundation, the board of directors. He's developed, he teaches history, he teaches in the high school world. It's a private school that people bring their kids to. He teaches history and social studies, I would say, and he's developed a curriculum, the culmination each year of which is the students have been working for maybe a couple of years even, go to at least to Washington, D.C. and have a civics lesson, where because his father had been a long-time congressperson for the county of Marin, I forget his name.
Well, Maynard.
Maynard.
Bill, maybe.
I don't remember Dad's name.
Bill.
Thank
Bill
you.
Maynard.
Because Bill Maynard had been a congressman for so long, there were an awful lot of contacts, and the Maynard name opens many, many doors. So these kids go in there and they will have a meeting of, let's say, 25 teenagers chatting with the Secretary of State of that particular administration. And then other meetings too, with local senators and other people who are just, what's it all about? And really giving them a hands-on lesson. He's also I've also seen curriculum of something called the Happiness Project. This is pretty big, where there are schools in Kenya who are involved, schools in India who are involved, the school in Watsonville who are involved, and they're all asking the question, what is happiness? And they go off and talk to the Dalai Lama. They talk to politicians, they talk to leaders in various countries,
really
and then report back as a community.
Wow. I'm so glad you know about all of this in such detail. It's really interesting. I've looked him up. I would love to go and see him.
Mailliard is how to spell his name, and the school is Mount Madonna, the Mount Madonna Center.
Yeah.
It's been going on since 1974 in Watsonville. And they've got dormitories. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I have, my first recollection is when he heard I was trying to sell it. He had been there with some friends and thought of it as an Alice's restaurant.
Yeah.
And he came up, he called me and he said, I'm coming up from, my dad's coming up from San Francisco, and we want to look at the books. And I had, I didn't just have a set of books, a couple sets of books. The IRS, potential buyer, and a real set. But anyway, he walks in with this distinguished gentleman, Ward. I'm Ward Meyer. This is my father, and my God, this guy looked like the president, a senator, a congressman. And we talked for a while and looked at the books, and then he said, my dad, I want to talk to my dad for a while. And I could hear him in the other room. I could hear William Myers goes, "You ain't gonna buy this place for the last goddamn thing I want you to do, or don't do it." And he comes back in, I said, "Well, what do you think?" And he goes, "Well, I'll let you know." And I thought, I'll never, ever see this guy again. You know, scratch that, I won't even need his phone number. And I'll be darned, 2 days later, he calls it, "We're gonna buy it, I'm gonna buy it." I go, "Absolutely beautiful." So he came up, and that was my Ward Meyer story.
I have a little mystery, it's always been a mystery to me, but Ward moved up here,
Yeah.
he was living up here, and he became a very good friend of all of us at the Cloud Farm, you know, all of us at Cloud Farm, mostly women. I think David knew Ward, and it was when Phil and Marcy lived there too, and, you know, it was going through a change and evolution, but remember the guys, Ward was gonna put barnwood all up inside the living room and the dining room of the farm, and built a loft, and we weren't supposed, there was a rental, you know, we weren't supposed to be doing that, but, and then you and I, you took me out to breakfast, I think at the Changing Hands Cafe, of that little greasy spoon, and we talked about you selling the inn or something like that, and then the next day, or the day after that, Ward took me out to breakfast at the same place, it was at the same booth.
Coincidence?
Huh?
Was that a coincidence?
I don't know, I think he was kind of asking me for a character reference
Yeah.
of you.
I can only think of one person that I can give, let me think, who could I talk to? Nobody around, Lindy Reed. Yeah. Thank you.
I know, yes, you're welcome. I don't know if that was why, it was still a mystery to me, I do not remember how that happened, but there was, and then it sold, so,
Yeah.
hey, okay.
Everything worked out perfect.
Ward is a pretty supportive person of anything communal.
That's right.
Oh, Ward was wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful
He
guy.
was very helpful, so I can picture him having been aware of your situation. And
Yeah,
whether he
must have been.
whether he continually visited or just was supportive in his own mind.
Yeah, he was a prince of the valley.
Jim?
You gotta get Ward here in a couple of years, sounds like.
Our founding father is, I have a song about Jerry Green and the trade winds, and he's requested.
Oh,
that I
yeah,
sing it.
let's just do that.
Oh, all right. We have you wanna tell the audience in the mic what it is?
Yeah, we've got it set up already.
How many of you knew Jerry Green?
Oh,
Yeah, Jerry.
How many of you drank with Jerry Green?
Tell us a little bit about Jerry before you sing the song.
There used to be a door between the inn and.
Jerry was, kind of a, wannabe hoodlum with a wannabe heart of gold, I think is the way I think of it. I remember the night he wanted to kill Markland, and Jerry had a gold Cadillac, but he always had a revolver under the seat. And we had to get him so drunk he passed out, so he couldn't do that. Somebody else want to share about Jerry?
You know, Jerry was actually, he used to brag about that he was a sports star. I never could believe it. He'd be drinking with him. I found in the yearbook one time, he was a sports star family. He was a local athletic hero.
Yep.
Go figure. Go figure.
Really, he made an impression on me.
Yeah.
A friend of mine taught me this Merle Haggard song way before the end, and I could never remember any of the verses except the first one, so I stole that first verse and added a few more for Jerry and the trade winds. Turn on the amp. Full cube, bar stools, and a 5-foot TV screen. My new home has a flashing neon sign. You can drop by, see me anytime you want to. I'm always at the the wind still blows in time. Who's up next? Put $1 in the jukebox. Can I bum one of your cigarettes? Give me the dice I lost. Well, just put it on my tab. I'm always at the wind still closing time. Get off 101, turn by the Foster Freeze. Cruise in behind the bank, the parking's always free. Slip in the side door, go up to the bar, and tell them what you want. And John, Joe, and Jay will take care of you till closing time. Here she comes, she's moving in for the hustle. She grabs your eyes, she stands there, she just stares. But wait a minute, baby, hold on. I think you and me been through this before. 'Cause you're always at the wind still closing time. Jerry Green went to heaven. St. Peter said to him, "Sheriff man, you're just in time. The second race is about to begin. And we got you a gold Cadillac with a pistol on the floor. Everything's slick and you'll be back counting the drawer at closing time." The ghost of Jerry Green counts the drawer at closing time. That's in Cotati, California, planet Earth, USA. Richard was talking about Max, the bartender at the inn, and that was his territory. And one night, this guy pulled a knife out and was mad at Max, and he's going, "Come on, sucker, come on, cut him with the blood, I'm gonna cut you." And Max didn't look at him at all. He went to the guy next to him and said, "What'll it be?" And the guy goes, "A draft." Max walks very slowly over, draws him a draft, sets it down and looks at the guy and says, "You look really silly with that thing, man. Why don't you put it away?" Collects the money from the other guy's draft. I was very impressed.
Any other questions from the audience? Here we go.
In addition to all the great live music that we've got going on in Cotati, do you have any suggestions or wisdom to share about how to keep our musical heritage alive in the future and how to bring more live music to Cotati?
Yes.
Everybody get that question?
Yeah.
Save the end.
Save the end.
Save the end.
Yes.
Bring it back.
You know, if you have a chance to go and hear live original music, do it. And pay the musicians.
Yeah.
That will keep a venue alive
Yeah.
and musicians working.
You know, I think to that point, so I'm sitting at this table with some of my heroes. I wanted to do exactly what these guys did. And once I was able to do that, I found something out. Part of it is an incredible trip. It's really a wonderful gig. But you better not plan on making money doing it because there's none to be had. None of these guys are driving Rolls Royces. I don't think.
No.
No, he's got, no Rolls Royce, okay.
That woman in the middle.
But I mean, by extension though, I mean, so what they were doing in Cotati sort of brought you to the Phoenix and you dedicated your life to that.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I mean, I started doing shows in the mid-2000s because of you. That was fun. It's not my primary occupation, but it's a great adventure, you know? And Kyle, who's doing sound here, he was a Phoenix guy, and now his job, his profession is doing live sound all over the country. I mean, people just, I mean, to your point, I mean, I think if it's important to you, if you love it as an individual and you want it to keep going, then become a part of it, you know? And, you know, to Tom's point, don't expect to become a millionaire doing it, because that probably won't happen. But it just kind of has a way, as long as you believe in it, as long as it's important to you, as long as it's like it's in your soul that you gotta do it, then you keep doing it. I mean, everybody at this table, I mean, it wasn't all fun and games, right? I mean, I'm sure there were some times where it was difficult. Would you nod, or was it always fun? I know Scott's nodding, but yeah, so I don't know. They have a lot more experience than I do, but I would just say if you want it to keep going, if one wants it to keep going in your community, then be a part of the solution. That's the way. And we live in a place where there's a lot of other people who are supportive of it, so this is a place you can do it.
Well, my name's John. I'm with the Historical Society, and the past of this has been an amazing trip for all of us, and I'm happy to say that in the present moment, we have something akin to that that's like, not the nursery of it, but a small incarnation of it. Our good friend Patrick McCarty here is our minister over here at Church of the Oaks. And Patrick, you want to say a little bit about what you're doing with a current free cabaret show once a month, bringing in talent? I just saw somebody from Nashville or something come in, and recording star. Patrick?
Yeah, I can talk. Thank you very much. Music is part of my life. I started playing in my grandpa's band in 1956. And from then till about, a month ago, I've been playing honky tonks my whole life. But the consciousness of live music is really something that I've always loved my whole life. Starting January 28th, that's a Saturday night, the Community Cabaret at the Oaks will be beginning its 6th year. The last Saturday night of every month, we have a free live music concert. Wow. And it's designed to bring your family. We've had kids with balloons and light sticks making happy noise. We set big long tables and everybody brings, I don't know, hummus casserole, whatever people want to eat. But we have local bands. This fellow right here, Rick with the Bluebirds, he's going to be there the last Saturday night in February. He's one of our big draws. Last week, well, the last Saturday night in October, which is our last show of the season because of the holiday, we had a recording artist, all original stuff from LA, called Pi Jacobs and the band. And half of my band got to play with her band. They're amazing. It was just so much fun. And in January, we're going to have a band called Take Your Medicine. You can take that however you want. But that band's, we call ourselves that. That's kind of my band. Because we think that music is the best medicine, live music, for anything that might ail you. So we're not trying to make any money. It's a free concert. We pay our bands, not a lot, but a little, because they're in this, it's like Neville was talking about community. It's about building this community of people that can just come and have joy. And we can dance. If you want to bring beer or wine, it's yours. You bring whatever you want. And we just have this to create joy, to keep the joy. We got enough crap in life, all of us. And the last Saturday every night of every month, you can come to the hall over there and bring your kids, your grandkids, anybody you want, and hear some decent entertainment. And how we keep it going, how it's survived, it's free. Anybody needs it to be free. If you don't need it to be free and you want to help participate in keeping it going, we have a flower vase that you can throw money in. We started off, a guy by the name of Elijah has live music, Lantern, helped us start. And we have perpetuated, this will be our 6th year. So just come and, all these people planted seeds and they're still growing and we're still planting seeds about music in Cotati.
One time on that,
Oh, we don't compete with the pubs, 5 to 7.
5 to 7.
5 to
See you there,
7.
everybody. Did you have a question? All right. You know what, she had a question. You already asked her.
Sorry. Hi, as a native Point Raisin, we have our own folk tales of diaspora musicians that were escaping the hate when things got too crazy. So this just brings back a lot of stories. But I moved to Sonoma County to be a student beginning '68 until '74. Still live here in Cotati. So my question is, did you have any Beatles sightings or encounters or Stones or any of the really big name bands at that time that came through town? Because we have rumors of Paul coming through Inverness and other stories like that.
We could make one up.
I'll tell you, it's amazing how many of the big stars, not the giant stars that we saw, but just about every band and the biggest San Francisco rock and roll musician. They love to play music. My God, they played with so many different bands. They would show up with, this band or that band and, play pedal steel or, it was amazing that people that you would see right here in Cotati or, somewhere here in Sonoma County, just mind blowing because it really was a center of, great people who enjoyed music, so. No famous people.
Well, there were a few. Mark brought in John Entwistle from The Who.
Yeah.
That was after I was gone, but also Jack Bruce played in cabaret too.
And I think Huey Lewis was in the beginning of cabaret player, right?
Yeah. But that's not a Paul McCartney or a Billy Joel or a Madonna or a Bruce Springsteen or
Garcia?
Well, Jerry Garcia many times, right? How many times Jerry Garcia?
Van Morrison.
Six or eight times in various configurations between Oldham in the Way and for his bluegrass world, New Riders of the Purple Sage, with his countryish world and his Merle Saunders.
Yep.
Van Morrison is not.
Lightning Hopkins.
Lightning Hopkins.
Yeah.
Big Night was.
He's no Paul McCartney.
Janis Joplin coming through, that was a big deal.
No.
I think Paul McCartney ripped off Lightning Hopkins.
Yeah.
Janis never played.
That's interesting because there's a lot of
I'm
information online about how she did, so that's very good.
I'm the only person that worked for Greg, who worked for Ward, and worked for Mark. Janis never played. Big Brother played after she left the band, but not Janis.
The story is, here's the story. All you needed to do was say that she played here and they really don't remember. Oh, yeah, she was at the end of the beginning. It was just a rumor. I don't know who started it.
I turned down the Doobie Brothers.
Oh, no.
I was tending bar and this guy called and said, we just had a hit record and we're going on a tour and we want to play for 5 nights at your club to get ready for the tour. And I said, well, what's your band? He said, the Doobie Brothers. I said, I'd never heard of you, man. And he got really uptight. I got all the live music I needed right in Cotati. I didn't need to pay any attention to anybody else. I want to say something too. I worked with children, and there's a hero in this room, Tom Gaffney, who I used to take my daughter to the Phoenix. She wanted to go. And all of these kids in Cotati and Petaluma that had nowhere to go to the Phoenix Theater with their skateboards. They were accepted for who they were. He had music for them, and he kept it going by the skin of his teeth. I have no idea how the county let him stay open with that place. The men's room there needed probably about $100,000 worth of work. I don't know how he did it, but he did it, and he deserves to be honored now. Everybody, yay, Tom! Come on! Yay, Tom!
Thank you. I will say this about that. Our men's room, for what it is, has been featured yearly in some magazine in Norway. Because there's a photographer out of San Francisco that comes in every year to do their spring fashion spread for Eurotrash fashion. So it's really, I wouldn't change a thing up there. I wouldn't use it, but I wouldn't change it.
All right, so any more questions? Okay, we're getting close,
Well, mine is more of an appreciation for you. I was raised here in Cotati. My parents moved into Cotati in 1960 and bought one of the two grocery stores. It wasn't Lombardi's, it was Cotati Plaza Market in the plaza. And so the college came in, so it might be your fault that my father did decide to leave the store in the 1968. The partner got kind of crazy down there, right? And I have a story, these are shared memories that are just fabulous. I am a docent at the museum and I give the walking tour.
Oh,
and
yeah.
when we get to the end of the beginning, I gotta tell you, it's the favorite story. So you burst a few bubbles, but we like to tell some myths too, right? Janis Joplin and all of that. But since you have a list. And I have a story for each one of you. So Mark, I have many siblings, and one of my sisters gave me a call one night, and I think it was like early 80s, and got arrested in front of the cabaret, and I had to go bail her out of jail. And then there's another one. So I love this gentleman, Cochran.
Ray.
Yeah, Ray. Yeah. So it was 1960. I was a teenager working at my parents' store.
Oh, we let you in.
And well, they would come
No
over,
problem.
the students would come over from the inn, and my father said, "You have to card them, And I'm like, "I'm not going to card that cute guy from the college." Never did. So. And then this gentleman walked in today, and I recognized him because when we do the walking tours, you're just so fabulous. You invite us in to come into your store and share the story about that old building.
It's a beautiful building. If you haven't come by, you should check it out. It was built in 1917. Used to be an Oddfellows Hall, and we did our best with the money we had to recreate what it was like originally. So there's a beautiful ceiling in there. It's a great spot. So I welcome you to come take a look.
Yeah, it's fabulous. Thank you very much. You're always very inviting. And you had come into the museum the other day when I was working, and came in with all the artwork from the Accordion Festival. So thank you. And you owned the cabaret or the inn?
The inn for 97 through 2000.
Okay.
The late Carnation.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you. Great stories. Really, really appreciate it. And I'll be telling your stories as I do the tours. And I'll get more history, and I'd like to talk to you all afterwards too, so I can share your great true stories.
I think where Zone was, when the inn was just beginning, was the Wigwam Cafe.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was the Wigwam.
That's correct.
I heard there was a gay bar in the back. I never knew about it.
Not behind the Wigwam.
Outside.
Anyway.
No, Dave's bike shop was right across the way.
Oh, yeah.
Ed, how much longer can we go? I know we're at 3:30. All right,
I'm ready to go.
All right.
Yeah, I want to mingle.
Let's do 2 more questions, and then we can mingle. Is that good for everybody? 2 more. We'll go to you last, because you've been waiting. There was a hand back here. Who wants to? All right, we're going to do you, and we'll do you, and then you can go.
Hi, my name's Erin. It's
been really awesome to listen to all of the amazing stories that everyone here has shared about the inn. My partner and I live on Sonoma Mountain, and we're not as, we haven't lived here as long as a lot of the people that have been sharing stories. But we have been inside of the inn recently, and as it's been for rent for a while, and I'm just curious to know what you guys think about, the next stewards of whoever will be in that space, and what your hopes and dreams are for the next younger generation that might be taking it over.
Come on, Mark.
It's an uphill battle with that location now. I talked to Anna, the landlord, quite a bit about it. And she had, when she first put it up for sale, there was a fellow that from Santa Rosa, he wanted to come in for 1 year rent-free to remodel it. Yeah. She turned him down. That was a couple of years ago. That was a big mistake to turn him down. It's just an uphill battle. But to another note, as far as stewards, when I ran the inn in the 90s, people, old timers would come in and they'd go, only these kids didn't know what a rich history this place had and everything we experienced. I go, you have to understand, they're experiencing their thing now, and they're going to look back at this as their rich history. I mean, each generation has their own rich history.
Yeah.
Just, the inn just kind of permeates.
We could make it a museum.
Yeah?
Half coffee house, half museum.
Are you volunteering for the ownership?
There you go.
Last question.
Last question.
The Doobie Brothers didn't play, but Bill McPhee played, and he's now a Doobie, and he's wonderful, and I forget the name of the band. But what I wanted to comment about, music today, until the virus shut it down, the Redwood Cafe was an incredible venue, and someone might come along and buy that
It's sold.
today.
It's sold.
What?
It's sold. It's sold. One of the chefs bought it. One of the chefs bought it. They're not doing music currently, but Rena?
But I'd like to hear about that, because Michael wanted to retire, and he has the Aquas Cafe in Petaluma, which is a little tiny place, and so I'd like to hear, because that's our opportunity. It was an incredible nightclub. They had such good music there all the time, but I'd like to hear what's going on with that, and that's our future opportunity. That's our next thing at the beginning for the county, not just Cotati.
All right, folks, any closing thoughts before we wrap up?
Let's go mingle.
Okay, I have one closing thought. There was a board game called So You Want to Be a Rock and Roll Star, and you could land on one space that said you played a gig in Cotati, lose one turn. All of these guys played a gig in Cotati and they lost a couple turns. Thank God they did. Because they had to hang out in this town for quite a while.
Well, let's leave it at that. Panel, thank you so much.
Thank
Let's give it a round of applause. And thank you all for attending. What a beautiful thing. This will be online at some point so you can relive it and experience some of those memories. Thank you all. And here's Ed.